Okay everyone, what we're going to have a look at now is how to pull apart the oil pump assembly on a 5HP 19ZF transmission. When you initially pull the oil pump assembly out of the transmission, out of the top, this is basically the piece that you're going to pull out. The oil pump itself is actually just this piece in here, which we'll remove in a moment. You get the stator shaft here and the main seal on the front as well. On the other side, we've got the C-clutch assembly, which we'll pull out in a moment. We've got a thrust bearing, we can just easily remove that. There's a couple of rectangular metal washers in here, they can just stay in place. There's no need to remove those unless you're actually going to replace those. Also in here, we've got the piston for the pressure regulator output from the pump. This is the input that comes from the filter, and the output is on this side, and this is the pressure regulating piston. There's a spring that sits on top of that you would have already removed prior to removing this from the transmission. So we'll just put that aside, make sure it doesn't get damaged. First thing we need to do is remove the clutch pack off the top. Like all the other clutch packs, it's pretty simple. We're just going to lever out the snap ring, and that just comes out pretty easily. And you can lift up and out the entire clutch pack. It's the same as all the others. And the setup we've got now, as you can see, we've got the piston here, the cup spring and two stop rings that need to be removed. So we're just going to use the normal compression tool to remove those. The cutouts on this particular cup spring are quite large, so you don't have to have it all the way up the edge, about here somewhere. About here somewhere, halfway along, it seems to work quite well. You've got plenty of room to actually remove the stop rings, and enough leverage to actually push down the cup spring quite happily. So center everything up. And gently compress the cup spring. And now what we can do is just easily remove these stop rings out of there. And once we've done that, now you can see that cup spring just pulls straight out easily, and the whole disc carrier, this piece here, as well as that piston inside, will now just easily pull out. You can see on the underside of that, there's a piston O-ring on the inside and the outside of it. Lots of channels that meet up with all the channels on this side, and they feed hydraulic pressure to all the clutches, to the torque converter, etc. That are at the front part of the transmission. If you want to remove those, you just push that straight out. The piston, that just comes straight out. Pretty simple. To remove the oil pump, which is on this side, there are a bunch of bolts, as you can see. There are two here, one there and one there on this centre section that are attached to it, as well as all of these on the outside. The one on this side, or here, is what they call a cheesehead bolt. It's a round-headed one, plus the one on the opposite are those that you need to undo. Don't undo any of the others in this centre portion, otherwise that's actually connected to the stator shaft, which you don't want to do at this stage. And then we're going to remove all of those others. Now, I've already loosened these a little bit. They normally only have about 10 Newton meters or so, so they're pretty easy to undo. When you pull this out of the transmission, things are going to be pretty dirty. I suggest that you do a lot of this in your lap. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Cover yourself in plastic or an old shirt or whatever. And that's probably the best way to do things. So what I'm going to do is remove all of these, but I'm actually going to leave a couple in, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So what I'm going to do is remove those two on the centre section. I'm going to leave three of these in that are evenly spaced, just a couple of turns in. So that one and maybe that one will do. And the rest of them I'm actually going to remove. The way this is all set up is on the other side here. As we saw before, you've got the oil pump here. There's a big O-ring which is actually holding this in place. So what we're going to do is actually hit these on this side, and I'll actually knock it out to the other side. Like I said, the best way to do this is just to put it in your lap like this. What I've got, so I've just got the thing that I used before, and I'm just going to use a hammer to just gently tap these out. Now the oil pump's made of steel, the rest of it's made of aluminium, so it's pretty heavy when it flops out, so you need to be kind of ready to catch it. That's why I've still threaded them in just a little bit, so it can't actually just fall straight down. So just give it a few taps. Just keep on going around. As you can see, they just pop in. And once I've done that, you can see now the oil pump has started to move out on the other side. You saw before that I was actually using the Torx screwdriver thingy to push down. Don't try and hit these are all finely machined. If you hit those with a hammer, you'll do a whole bunch of damage. This is where the piston runs for the C-clutch, so you really do not want to damage that. You need to be pretty careful. So once that's like that, I can now just remove these bolts. Whole intermediate plate and stator shaft will come off. You can see all the passages, etc. there for oil flow. And in here is the oil pump. The oil pump itself, you've just got an intermediate or a plate that sits in between them here. There's a dowel that's used for aligning, and when you pull that off, there is your oil pump. The little notches here are what the torque converter actually hooks into and actually turns that around to actually make the pump work. These pieces can easily be pulled out if required. So there you go, there's our disassembly of the oil pump and a C-clutch assembly.